Chimps.
No, that's right. And, you know, it's really speaking our truth, speaking our truth to other people. And, I'm like y'all, I see a softening generally of ideas and thoughts towards plant medicine. You know, I see this as like a three-pronged front. I see the science like that is in my book as part of it. I see these religious retreats and ceremonies as part of it, and I see the decriminalization movements as part of it. Now, the science, like I wrote my book on, really permeates the other two. And I know a lot of people in the spiritual will say, oh, we don't agree with this science or how they're giving the medicine. I get it. But in America, whenever the government comes and shuts you down, you're going to have to file an injunction under the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act, okay? So when you file a Religious Freedom and Restoration Act claim, it's up to you to prove that they substantially burdened a sincere exercise of religion. Now, to do that, and that's what I've been helping these organizations do, is to get their beliefs in order and written down in a comprehensive manner, and get their ceremonies and how they operate down on paper, so that way when they go to make this claim, they can let the documents speak for themselves. Now, here's where the science comes in, because then the burden will shift to the government to prove that they have a compelling governmental interest in burdening the exercise, and that it's the least restrictive means of doing so. Well, under what their burden basically entails is to prove that the Controlled Substances Act in this situation, that there's a compelling governmental interest in improving it. Well, one way you fight back against them saying, oh, well, psilocybin's dangerous, we got to protect the health and safety of these church members, or DMT is dangerous, we have to protect the health and safety of these church members. Well, that's where the science comes in, okay? That's where you can pull out these studies and show the court, look at the safety and efficacy that's been proven through the science of these substances. And more specifically, these ceremonies we're doing, while not exactly the same, or substantially similar kind of how these scientists are administering in these clinical sessions. And so that kind of, it shoots a blow at the government's case. And so if we look at the UDV case in 2006, the Supreme Court, or actually it was the district court through the appellate courts and ultimately Supreme Court, rubber stamped the finding that at that time in 2006, it was about 50-50, which the government couldn't carry their burden because, strict scrutiny. So it was like 50-50 on the health and safety issue. And I just saw they are starting actual phase 1 clinical trials with DMT. So I imagine as the science evolves, the government's prospects of shutting down a psychedelic church who's doing it sincerely and safely are going to diminish very rapidly. And so we indeed are living in very interesting times. And again, I see the church front as very important in generally leading towards the legalization, because again, we're softening people's views around these substances. And then going on to the decriminalization movement in the U.S., every local jurisdiction who has decriminalized these plant medicines, specifically psilocybin, directly cites to the studies in my book on kind of, I call it the recital section, but it's like, why are we passing this act? And, that's where they will cite to those studies. So when I wrote the book, I didn't realize at the time exactly how much the science permeated, particularly the religious front, but it is very much a part of it, as much as a lot of the spiritual people have trouble with the science that they, and I think a lot of it has to do with these are sacred medicines and they should only be done in these ceremonies. And I get it. And that does go to the sincerity of the religious beliefs and practices. But at the same time, what they have to realize is that if the DEA comes and shuts them down, their lawyer's going to be putting those studies up in front of the court and admitting them into evidence to try to combat the government's assertion that they have a compelling governmental interest in enforcing the Controlled Substances Act. So, when I wrote this book, it was really just an interest of mine, but it's kind of now where it's permeated and pushing me towards these other aspects of the legalization front, as I would call it.
Yeah, I like this three-prong thing because it's like the front door in our society right now is science. You know, these things
Yep.
that unfortunately fall by the wayside, which is why we're all here in a way. You know, like these things are
Yep.
important and need to be reintegrated. And you mentioned integration at the beginning, you know, and like obviously in an individual sense, but it seems like we're kind of talking about the struggles of reintegrating this ancient medicine into
Yeah,
our current
that's right.
society. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.